Do not. They're not there to get laid. Some of them are there to get laid, but most part they're not. They're there for a relationship. That's what you need to be there for too. There you are sitting across from her. Now this seems really simple. Let her order first. When the server comes and asks what you'd like to drink, let her answer first. If she's not drinking alcohol, you don't drink alcohol. That's pretty simple, wasn't it? She will likely ask you if you're going to be drinking any alcohol, and you might already have had this conversation about alcohol. And oftentimes, the reason why she's divorced is because her husband was an alcoholic. She doesn't want to be with a drunk, but then again, neither do you. That is, unless, of course, you're planning on taking advantage of her. Don't do it. Be respectful. So if she orders an adult beverage, go ahead and order one for yourself. Make sure that you moderate the amount of alcohol that both you and her have. 3 drinks might be the most anybody can have in one date. I can drink more than 3 beers. I know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on a boat, but I'm not on a boat. But I can't drink more than 3 bourbons. And if you drink hard liquor, I would recommend drinking no more than 1 or 2. You need to be aware of everything that's going on around you. I know you're expecting sex. I'll get to it. Don't worry about it. Do you know how to have a conversation? I mean, seriously, do you know how to have a conversation? You know how to ask questions and listen. That's what you need to do. You need to wait for the answer, listen. And elaborating on what they just said, here's an example. Do you have a pet? And she says, yes, I have a cat. Then she probably would say, but I'm not a cat lady. I prefer dogs. But a cat's easier to take care of. I consider this a warning sign. I really do. It's almost like a red flag. Personally, I don't like cats. I have many reasons. Women who have cats tend to live a very orderly life, and it's usually boring. I'm sorry, cat ladies are oftentimes boring. Um, so I would say if she had a dog, then I'd say, what kind of dog is it? If she says it's a Yorkshire, run. Yorkshire Terrier, run, run. I would run. I'm kidding. You don't have to run. Hopefully, she has something like, I don't know, a Great Dane or a Labrador Retriever. You may like a woman with a tiny dog. I mean, then I'd ask, what's the dog's name? That doesn't seem too difficult. I mean, you're leading her on, asking her questions. She wants to know that you care. Really, that's all it is about her. Maybe you're living in a place where the two of you have lived there all of your life and you've never met each other. And you would just want to ask her where she grew up. And she says, well, I grew up down the street in blah, blah, blah town. And you say, I went from blah, blah, blah town. What high school did you go to? What grade school did you go to? What college did you go to? And you just learn more about them. And you might ask things like, you remember where Ronnie's Drive-In was, or what radio station did you listen to, or do you listen to? Do you remember the snowstorm from 1983? Where were you then? You only know these things if you grew up there. And if you didn't grow up there, you can't ask questions like that, but you can ask about the things that happened in their lifetime. You can ask about the childhood, or you can ask about, what things were like for them. I mean, that's important. She wants to know that you really care. That's really the most important thing. She wants to know that you care and that you're interested in her. I have to get this off my chest. When I was dating and a woman told me that she was looking for someone that she could travel with, that was a huge red flag for me because, quite frankly, I was a working class guy. I was a working class dude. I got up in the morning. I went to work. I paid my bills. I paid my child support, and whatever money I had left over was for some fun with my girl. And it wasn't enough. It was never enough to go to Fiji. It was never enough to go to Hawaii. And it was never enough to go to places they wanted to go. Not to mention the fact that I've never had time for that either. It's best you cut and run. If you don't have the time or the money to give into that kind of lifestyle, the reality is if they don't think you have the wherewithal to give it to them, then you're not going to get them in bed anyway. So cut your losses and skate. I've been in the middle of a date before and I figured out this and I knew it wasn't going to work. And, after a drink or something, I said, this just isn't going to work. And when she agreed and we left, it was over, it was done. So let's suppose the date is going really well and you've had a couple of drinks and you're feeling a little loose and your date is feeling a little loose and you guys are laughing and smiling and getting along great. You don't want it to end. And neither does she. Your server comes and brings you the tab and you pay for it. And you pay for it. Did you hear me? Pay for it. You pay for it. Some women will insist that they pay their portion and they'll insist that they pay their portion and then you're not going to get a second date lightly. There was one person that I dated. I'll call her S, like as in Sammy. S didn't think that she would like me all that much. I really wasn't her type. You see, I'm bald and she liked men with hair. And that wasn't me. But we had an amazing day. We were laughing and having a good time. You see, the thing was, she wanted to go out on a date, and I really wasn't her type, but she wanted to go out on a date. I was interested, and she wanted to have a steak. And so we went to this steakhouse in Aurora, Colorado, and she told me she just wanted to have a steak, and she was going to pay her own way, and that she didn't think that it was going to be a good idea for me to pay for her steak. She was really sweet, and she paid her way. She paid for her steak and her beer, and I paid for mine. And we had a second date, and well, that second date was amazing. I should probably not tell you much about it, but it was amazing. And we had a third date, and then we were living together for more than 2 years. And later on, I'll tell you about how we broke up and how that was over. So on the second date that we were there, it was this little place down the street from where I worked, and it was this bar, and it was really snowy outside, and we didn't even realize that it snowed like a foot. It snowed like a foot outside. And I had a I had a Jeep, and she drove I don't know what was that, one of those Toyota Rav4s, I believe, and it was stuck in the snow. She had nowhere to go, and she wasn't going to have to go to work the next day because it ended up snowing about 2 feet that night. And we've been talking about the place that I lived in, and she wanted to see it. And so I was like, wait, I can't tell you this yet. I have to tell you about my secret weapon before she asked about that. It's time to tell you about the secret weapon, and I'll tell you more about S later on and how this actually turned out. But oh my God, secret weapon. All right, so here it is. This is what you've been waiting for the past 30 minutes or however long this has been. 37 minutes. Yeah, you've been waiting a long time, and I'm sorry, but I had to tell you all the rest of the stuff. This is what happens. So the thing is that I learned how to make a woman literally melt in your hands. And I wonder if I should even tell you now. I mean, it's such a powerful thing, and you won't even believe it until you try it, but it's such an amazing powerful thing. There we were sitting in the bar drinking, having hors d'oeuvres, and I asked her to give me her hand, and she looked at me like I was strange. I was sitting next to her, and we had some kisses through the night, nothing really incredible yet. And I took her hand in my hand and I turned it over so that I could see the palm, and I put my lips on her wrist. And do you know what erogenous zones are? Most of you guys don't even know what they are. Do you know that women have more erogenous zones than men do? Yes, God made women with sensitivities that would turn them on. I was about to turn her on. I mean, really turn her on. Yes, all I did was I put my lips to her wrist. I opened up my mouth and I licked her wrist. And do you know what happened? If you know, you know. If you don't, I'm here to tell you it drove her crazy. It was an immediate turn on and almost orgasmic. If you lick a woman's wrist long enough, they will writhe. I stopped. I got up from the chair. I had her stand up and I put my arms around her and I kissed her in public. And it wasn't just a peck like earlier. No, sir. This was a full Monty kiss. I gave her everything I had. I kissed her with all my desire and she loved it. Being a good kisser is important. Women like to be kissed. We have all these little sensors in our lips, and they're like really super sensitive, and they drive women crazy when they kiss. And if you want to like if you like the amount of energy that she's about to implode, you might consider perhaps a manual transmission. You want to know what this is about. Prior to my taking her hand and licking it, she was in neutral. You know, a simple kiss might have put her into first gear. She was in first gear. I'd switched her there, but then licking her wrist, we were on the fucking highway. I mean, to tell you, we were doing like 80 on the highway, and there was no stopping her. It was time to leave. We packed up our stuff. She got into my Jeep, and she tried to follow me, but she couldn't get out of the parking lot. And I drove to my place, and oh my God, the rest of the night was something else. So here's what's important about this. Nobody knows this. Yeah, there's some people that do. And at the end of the day, after a million or 2 million or 100 million people listen to this, everybody's going to know this. Yeah, all know it. It doesn't work for men. You can't lick a man's wrist. You can do it all day long, but nothing will happen. But do this to a woman, and their juices start flowing. They're ready to mount you. Look, I'm only saying this because it's true. And after a while, S wouldn't allow me to lick her wrist. She knew what would happen. It's funny. It's really sexy, and nobody knows about it. Now you know it. Let me warn you, this cannot be an opening line. This cannot be something that you do with someone until they're comfortable with you. It's not a first date thing. It really isn't. And you have to experience it for yourself. There you have it. That's episode 1. And in episode 2, I'm going to tell you how to take from licking the wrist to licking other parts of the body. No, I'm not. I'm going to tell you about other important things that are on in a relationship that you got to know. You really have to know, because you may never actually get to the point of licking a wrist unless, of course, you know the things that I'm going to tell you in these different podcasts. Now, I haven't set up any of these donation pages yet. I don't have a way for you to pay me for this. So I might recommend that you subscribe. I might also recommend that you tell your friends about it. I might suggest that you have if you have a girlfriend, have her listen to it too. She may agree that this, after trying this, she may say, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing. And she may want to hear more of the things that I have to say, because I might have a lot of important things to say that could help you. I mean, that's all this is really about. Helping you is what it's all about. And if I can help. So anyway, whatever. She might also get pissed off and say, "This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about," and then you lick her wrist and she goes wild, and you have amazing sex together like she's never had before, and she'll love that. She'll absolutely love that. So subscribe, however you can subscribe. Come back and listen to me the next time. I'll make sure that I hopefully this was entertaining to you. I don't know, because, like I said in the beginning, this is the first time I've ever done this, and I'm not just like off the cuff. This is real stuff, man. This is what really worked for me, and I hope it works for you too. And I think that that's really all that I have to say for today. I I hope it works for you. I really do. Thank you for listening, and God bless.